We have some major breaking news as 2311 Racing and Forum Motorsports have filed their reply to NASCAR's appeal brief earlier today. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel and welcome back to your video. As I just said a second ago, we had some pretty massive major breaking news this morning as it has been announced that 2311 Racing and Forum Motorsports have officially filed their reply to NASCAR's appeal brief today. As reported by Bob Pockrass earlier this morning, 2311 Racing and Forum Motorsports filed their reply to NASCAR's appeal brief today. The deadline was today. The appeal hearing on the ruling that granted the injunction for 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports to be charter teams for 2025 is May 9th and wouldn't get a decision on that day. Now, looking at the transcript, and shout out to Matt Weaver putting this out on his page, they basically say certain things. They say in their opening brief, defendants use overblown rhetoric and hyperbole to attack the district court's reasoning. They assert that the judge did not understand antitrust law and abuses discretion, but the errors defendant identify are not errors at all. The district court applied well-established precedent to the extensive fact and expert record, properly exercising its discretion to grant a narrowly tailored preliminary injunction that protects the rights of all parties and the public until trial. Each of the defendant's arguments against this narrow injunction is meritless. First, defendants argued the district court mistakenly treated its mandatory injunction as prohibitory, leading to its lightening the plaintiff's burdens. But they failed to mention that the court held that plaintiffs carried that burden under either standard. Second, defendants argued that the district court should not have found the plaintiffs are likely to succeed on the merits of their Section 2 claim. On each merit point, however, they can muster only a disagreement with the district court, not any legal error or discretion. Similarly, the defense are wrong to argue the district court abused discretion by funding the NASCAR's least likely found an exclusionary act used to maintain its monopoly power. This finding is strongly supported by the evidence. Nor is there any basis for defendants' claims that the district court abuses discretion. And they say, finally, there is no merit to defense argument that the injunction and complaint are inconsistent. The complaint does not seek to invalidate the entire charter agreement, or the court's Omega decision does not imply. The complaint alleges that there are just two provisions of the charter agreement, the lease of antitrust claims, and the covenant not to compete, are exclusionary acts that NASCAR used to maintain its monopoly. The district court enjoined the release. It could have also enjoined the non-compete provision, but it's exercised discretion not to any discretions to defendants before trial while still preventing irreparable harm to the plaintiffs. The injunction was narrowly tailored and fair. This court should affirm. This was, like I said, due earlier today. They were going to have to file their response, and they have officially filed that response today. Now, obviously, this all goes back to end of last year. It was announced at, I think, around Christmas time last year that 2311 Racing and Forum Motorsports were granted their preliminary injunction. They had that new judge come in, Kenneth Bell, who really didn't even have to have a trial or a hearing to basically make the decision. The judge, Kenneth Bell, made the decision to go ahead and let it go through. This is a really, really big situation, right? Because obviously those teams were suffering irreparable harm. We saw a couple big sponsors leave 2311 Racing this past year. We had the situation where Monster Energy was looking to maybe back out, and there was even talk about Love's Travel Stop maybe even backing out as well. And then you think about the other situation that kind of came into effect as well, and that's the fact that two big sponsors from 2311 Racing are no longer with the team, Moneyline and Dr. Pepper. But not only that, there are multiple drivers' contracts that could have been broken had they not had charters. Tyler Reddick, his contract could have been broken if they did not let that charter situation go through. And had they not had a charter for Tyler Reddick, he would have been a free agent and looking for a new ride for 2025. And silly season would have absolutely been wild. And a lot of other drivers who we thought were signed for the next year, they would have all been in jeopardy. And the same thing, of course, goes for other drivers on the team. Bubba Wallace, I believe he has a charter vision in his contract, so he would have been affected by this. Same with Noah Gragson. Same with even Corey Heim. While Corey Heim's not a full-time driver for 2311 Racing this year, he's part of this whole situation with 2311, who's going to run a fourth part-time entry this year. He would have been affected by this. And I mentioned Noah Gragson. I mentioned Zane Smith, who didn't sign his contract for 2025 until the middle of January because they had to wait for the charter stuff to go through. And then, of course, you had Todd Gillen, who also, I believe, had a charter provision. And I think a lot of that goes back to what happened with Tyler Reddick and Richard Childress Racing, because they were going to put Tyler Reddick in an unchartered car, but he wanted a contract to be set to where he could be in a chartered car for 2025. Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts in regards to this lawsuit. NASCAR, of course, in recent weeks has filed a countersuit against 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports when it goes to Act 1 of the Sherman Trucks Act, which, again, I read some of the stuff, and NASCAR does bring up some interesting points for sure that I think will help them a little bit on their side of this fence, but I also do think that there's some things that they report that I just don't absolutely agree with. But when I look at the situation, right, in regards to the charter stuff with 2311 and Front Row Motorsports, I'm going to try to have more of an unbiased approach to this situation because I think that both sides do bring up interesting points. But what 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports, what they want to do is they want to make the sport a lot better for the teams. And it's not just on the money side of things. They want to basically have a little more control of the sport. I don't think they want full control of the sport because I think giving the teams full control of the sport would not be the best thing all around for everybody involved. But I think that having a little bit more control and kind of helping with decisions, among other things, costs on the next-gen car, I think that's going to be the interesting thing. Now, NASCAR has said that if they are to lose the lawsuit, which, of course, if they lose the court date and lawsuit at the end of December, which that court date, I believe, is going to be on December 9th of this year, they want to try to have this stuff wrapped up. I wouldn't be surprised or shocked, though, if it goes past December 9th and we're still talking about this lawsuit in 2026. But I don't think this lawsuit is going to be going anywhere anytime soon. And I know they want to wrap this up very, very soon, but I think it's going to be a while before this lawsuit is gone away in any way, shape, or form. To me, when I look at the case and I look at the situation here, I still think 2311 Racing and Front Row, they still have a really good chance of winning the lawsuit. Now, obviously, NASCAR has talked about getting rid of the charters altogether, which I think that would be really, really bad on NASCAR's end because, one, they would probably have more teams looking to sue them. They probably have Richard Childress Racing looking to sue. They would have Hendrick Motorsports, Joe Gibbs Racing probably suing, Spire Motorsports, RFK Racing, Trackhouse. All these teams are probably going to sue if they go ahead and just drop it. I think it would be a bad decision as a whole for NASCAR to get rid of the charter agreement as a whole. And I get that the charters, the people like myself, aren't the biggest fans of the charters itself. But if you get rid of the charters altogether, there are going to be a lot more issues than solutions that are going to come into play and that are going to come into effect. So I don't think NASCAR would be smart to get rid of the charters. I know NASCAR isn't a big fan of it. They want to do something very similar to the Xfinity Series side of things. But even Xfinity Series team owners like Tommy Joe Martins are in support of having these charters. They think that they need it because it gives the teams more money who are down the road interested. And I think when I look at the situation, a case-by-case basis, I think it's a really difficult situation itself, right? But I think when you look at 2311 and Front Row Motorsports, they're in a much better position currently at the moment when it comes to the lawsuit right now. And again, if they try to remove the charters altogether, it won't be the best thing for the sport. I don't think they're going to get rid of the charters personally because they're going to have a lot of lawsuits coming in, but they might remove the thing where everyone's guaranteed in the races. So I think that's what's going to happen if they lose the lawsuit overall. So that is going to be today's special breaking news episode on 2311 and Front Row Motorsports filing their response with the lawsuit. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go to more of that and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. What are your thoughts about 2311 Racing and Front Row filing their appeal brief? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And who do you think is going to win the appeal on May 9th? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if they lose, do they lose their charters? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Later tonight on the channel, you're going to see reactions to NASCAR Xfinity Series qualifying from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and you're also going to see the Truck Series race review as well. Then on Saturday, we're going to have reactions to Cup Series qualifying, and we're also going to have the Xfinity review. And then, of course, on Sunday, we'll have the starting lineup video. We will probably have the race review, and we should have a Shane Van Gisbergen video going out if he performs very, very well during the race. If not, it probably won't be a video around him. And then Monday, we should have a NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple of days. There might be a video around Kyle Busch in the next couple weeks or so, kind of talk about where I think he could end up in 2026 if he doesn't return to Richard Childress Racing. And I think overall there's a lot of good videos coming out. I do have a silly season predictions coming out in the next couple weeks. I got content coming out of people like Haley Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, Cards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, 2311 Racing, Front Row, Michael Jordan, Curtis Polk, and a lot of other big stories like Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed, Connor Zillis Jr., Motorsports, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Brian Priest, all the Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, all the good stuff will be coming out on the channel very, very soon. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.